G'day fellas. Today we make a difficult video. I owe an apology to some people and I'm here to do that. You'll see on the background that we've got a game. It's Leenock versus Puppy Paw. I'd introduce it as a caster game, but no, this is not a caster game. This is an apology video because I need to make amends. Now, you guys would be familiar with my opinion on Chinese. I was a really big fan of the previous pyrotechnics. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was part of China's identity. I still do. And now it is without pyrotechnics. But what it has is a lot different. And after watching the games from this weekend at the Road to Red Bull Wololol, it has become evident that the brand new China is amazing. Not just amazing to play, but amazing to watch. It's exciting, it's unpredictable, and for that, I owe an apology to the developers. There was a time where I said that the new China was dead in the water. That I said that there was no way anybody even touches China, that it's got absolutely nothing to play for. And the reality is, I'm not a developer, I'm a caster, and it's important that, to an extent, I stay in my lane. I should make commentary about the game, I should commentate the game, but it's also important to understand that, I'm not paid the big bucks to make these decisions. And for what the developers have done, they've turned China from a one-dimensional civilization that was focused on booming in the early game and defending, and making it to the late game for pyrotechnics, which was the range increase for the bombards. And they've turned that into a civilization that is now capable of playing a very strong feudal age, that is capable of playing one town center fast castle, one town center heavy feudal, 3 TCs, 2 TCs. They're literally capable of doing absolutely everything at the moment, and they're looking pretty good. Now, obviously, balance at the moment isn't perfect. We've seen a couple of interesting developments with regard to the Holy Roman Empire. That's been a big factor. But overall, this patch has been incredible. It has been a really, really good patch. And it's great to see the diversity of civilizations that we're seeing this weekend at the Road to Red Bull Wololol. Now, I'm not going to spoil any of the games that have happened over there, but it's important that you guys know that for China as a civilization, we're starting to see it open up or be opened up on a lot more variety of maps. We're seeing it come out here, Leenock's throwing it out on Lipany, of all places. We've seen it on Dry Arabia. We've seen it on plenty of open maps, and it seems like the civilization's in a really decent spot. In fact, I've had multiple pros, this is kind of weird, multiple pros hit me up and be like, hey, can you give me some advice about China? Which is kind of weird because, I'm a Diamond League pleb. I mean, maybe if I played a little bit more, I'd be Conqueror. So, don't feel so good about yourself all of a sudden, or you gold players out there like, oh, Chongo's only Diamond, I could be Diamond. Well, hold on. Yeah, it's a long story, but look, let's just put it this way. China's in a great spot at the moment, so I want to throw out a big apology to the devs in regard to that. I said some heavy stuff. Now, I don't think I said too many painful things, but I mean, overall, it is clear that they know what they're doing, and as a result of that, I think it's important that we acknowledge it with this video, and we talk a little bit about where to go from the future, or where to go for the future for China here, and as well as all balance. So I suspect in the next balance patch that we're going to have, we're probably going to have some pretty decent changes to the Holy Roman Empire. They're in a good spot. They just need to be toned down a little bit, and I think you guys will agree with that. So my suspicion is that they might take 50 wood off them at the start or something like that. Try and slow them down, force them into an early lumber camp, or at least onto some straggler trees, try and delay their age up, because at the moment they're in well, it's ferocious, isn't it? But that's not even the scariest thing. I mean, we've seen feudal Holy Roman Empire come out, and that looks scary as well. So as a civilization, I think that's got a lot of ways to go. With regard to China, I think it's in the perfect spot. I don't think you'd change anything, at least at the moment. Obviously, as play develops and we see certain habits developing from players, that's probably where you look to try and change the civilization. But at the moment, it feels really good. The fact that you can all of a sudden play it on one base, it's crazy strong. Now, I don't know what we're going to see Leenock here do today, but you can see obviously dropping down that Imperial Academy, and the fact that it can train out those Imperial officials now, that's where the real difference comes in. That is what changes this civilization completely. Now, another big factor that we haven't really seen much of yet is those Imperial Age changes. So the big changes through to the Spirit Way, the changes to the Great Wall Gatehouse, and the changes to pyrotechnics as well. But if there's any, if there's any ability, or if there's anything I should be giving credit for right now, it's the fact that we now see China doing more. I watched a game on the Pit. I think It might have been a puppy paw game. I'm not sure. I think it was B and puppy paw, actually. Actually, it was this matchup. And we saw a 200 population feudal age. Well, I say 200 population. Look, it wasn't 200 population. It was like 188 or 189. But the point is that China as a civilization is now capable of staying feudal and sticking feudal. You know, typically you would see China look to try and rush up to castle age as quickly as possible, look to try and get out a nest of bees or something like that to protect it. But I think the reality is China doesn't need to do that now. It's very happy to play 1 TC. If it spots its enemy going 2 TCs, it can do that. So as a civilization, just the flexibility is just absolutely next level. So big shout out there. Interestingly, a couple of other developments that we've seen, the Abbasid Dynasty seem to be in a really good spot right now. I'm not sure what has happened to them. I don't know why they're being picked so much, but looking at the games that were played over the weekend, Abbasid Dynasty have come out insanely strong. Now, obviously, it's only 5%, so I don't think it's that. If anything, it's probably some of the matchups that they had a bit more difficulty with are kind of getting nerfed. They've always been pretty strong against the Holy Roman Empire, so they've always been a good pocket sieve against the HRE, just simply because the Holy Roman Empire, their primary focus, you know, they've got relics as the big one. The Abbasid Dynasty are very happy to play a feudal age, and in their feudal age, they're capable of booming, while at the same time looking to try and obtain that map control. And as a civilization, they're very capable of doing that because they can guarantee that they're getting ahead through the extra town center, also guaranteeing that they're preventing those relics from being picked up. Also very, very effective counter to landmarks like the Burgrave Palace, just simply because they've got the Camel Rider. Knights, they don't have too much trouble with because they've got plenty of spearmen. It's a civilization that works really well, and I think at the moment that's probably why we see so much Abbasid, not so much Abbasid dominance, but that's why we see Abbasid being a really good civilization at the moment. If I had to put them in a tier list, I think Abbasid would be pretty close to the top. In addition to that, you've also got Delhi that seem really good at the moment. Obviously, the elephant nerf did absolutely nothing to them. They're still incredibly strong. I don't think the issue was ever the health of the elephant. The issue is the fact that the elephant technically has infinite health when you think about it, because if you've got 9-10 scholars all healing up a single elephant, it doesn't matter if it's got 1,000 health or if it's got 500 health, because that health is just getting refilled so damn quickly. And so as a result, it means that the nerf didn't really hit it too hard. I think that it's very interesting the direction that the developers went with the herbal medicine change, which reduced they reduced the cost for it, and they also increased, or rather reduced the training time on, you know, religious units. So they're looking to bring them out more and more, and we've seen that now. Interestingly, we saw a whole bunch of prelates coming out. I watched a Salami game where he had close to like 30 prelates. He still lost the game, but he had 30 prelates out on the field healing up. And I think it's great that people are looking to be a bit more creative in that regard. And I'm looking forward to seeing a nice balance there. I guess the question is, how do you solve that issue? Because at the moment, you've got a very clear problem with regard to Delhi, that timing push. You're essentially, there doesn't really seem to be a way that you can stop Delhi, because once all their upgrades are online, then they're going to be able to overwhelm you. Then they get the sacred sites. Then they're able to get their relics, and then they're able to push and kill you. So Delhi still seem like a really strong civilization at the moment. French seem to have, despite the buff, fallen off. Now, I say despite the buff. Now, obviously, there was nerfs as well. The big one being chivalry. So we've seen chivalry get nerfed pretty significantly. So an increase, I think it worked out. It went from 75, 125 to, actually, no, I think it was 50, 125 to 100, 200. So it's basically gone, you know, it's gone up a lot. Let's just say it's gone up a lot. And this has hurt French a lot, because they used to just be, I mean, you guys are used to seeing French in the way that they play. They get under the town center and they're able to heal up their units by about the 9th minute. They're looking pretty good. The 10th minute, definitely they're all healed up. And that allows them to re-engage and constantly go in for those repeated attacks. But now they're not able to do that. They're kind of a little bit more similar to the Rus, in that they have to be a bit more patient, a little bit more calculated with their knights now. And they can't just throw them away willy-nilly. Not throw them away, but throw the health away willy-nilly, because they are going to have to get that upgrade. So I'm curious to see what direction the French go, but at the moment, it definitely seems like, I mean, they're still obviously a strong civilization, but we didn't really see them performing over the weekend. Now, obviously, a lot of the discussion that I'm having with you guys at the moment is specifically with regard to, you know, the very top end. I'm not talking Conqueror. I'm not even talking, you know, top 10% of Conquerors. I'm talking like the top 1% of Conquerors. the really, really good guys, the top 10, the top 15, that sort of thing. And so the meta's obviously different there compared to at the lower level. At the lower level, French is still an incredibly strong civilization. I expect once we see, AoE 4 World come out with the patch data, that French is still going to be really strong, just simply because people don't react to raids with the haste that those pro players can react to. They don't punish the lack of healing the same way that the pro players do. And as a result, it means that the civilization at the top level has fallen off a bit, but at the bottom level, I suspect it's still going to be quite strong, even though it's a bit more of an investment. There are other ways that the civilization sort of gets a bit stronger. Obviously, with the Royal Institute, we're going to see players going for the Royal Institute a bit more, which is obviously a wonderful landmark. Works very effectively. I'm being thrown off right now by Lee Nock and his farms. Actually, you know what? His farms are in perfect position. Don't mind me. I thought he was out of pixel or out of box, but not the case. I'm not really watching the game. I don't know. Are you guys enjoying having the game on the screen? It can be a little bit tough because obviously the spectator camera is not in 60 FPS. It seems to be in about 15 slot or 15. What's it called? Not frame. Yeah, 15 frames, I guess. 15 ticks. It's very janky. It seems to be, but obviously, it's still pretty decent. And it's a bit of a weird perspective. Like, you look at my perspective at the moment. Hold on, I'll turn off free camera. So, this is just the perspective of the standard camera that you get, just the normal one. This isn't the big one, what's it called, the panoramic one. This is just the standard one. Then you look at Lee Nock, and actually, this is the same camera. Don't worry. It's just the same camera. It looks so weird to me, just this camera. Lee Nock walling up like a madman, showing the strength of China. But look, that's it. So, a bit of a short video here. I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a roundup on where we're at the moment. Throw out a big apology to the devs because, look, sometimes I can get heated. As a human, one of the biggest things that we do not like is change, especially when we've got something good going for us, or at least something we perceive to be good. For me, it was pyrotechnics. I absolutely love it. I saw that as the identity of the Chinese, and you take that away and you get a real salty drongo. But at the same time, with the bad comes the good, and that's exactly right. You've got to take the good with the bad. Here we've copped, a pretty big loss for pyrotechnics, but at the same time we've gained an actual, an early game, a flexible early game, an early game where people are happy to play in feudal, happy to play 1TC, and the civilization looks good. It looks competitive, and I love it. I think it's great because now all of a sudden we're starting to see more China come out in tournaments. I expect that we're going to start seeing China out a lot more on the ladder. And this is a great thing. It encourages that diversity, gets that play rate up there. And that's what we want to see. We don't want to see civilizations sitting down on that 2-3% play rate. We want that to... Ideally, you'd like all civilizations to move towards, some sort of median between 10% and 20%. It's going to be tough with the English and the French here. They're always going to be the sort of higher played civilizations, with the more complex civilizations down towards the bottom. But I think this is a step in the right direction. I think all of the changes by the devs, from what I've seen so far, have been perfect. So obviously you start out and you think, well, it hasn't been that perfect. Well, let's take a step back because hats off to the devs. They've done a great job. I'm super happy with this. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there. So thank you fellas for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.